Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of The Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, Channel 182. That's in North Alabama, Channel 182 on Charter Communications, and Abundant Television, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. That is syndicated. And you can also find us on the podcast. You didn't know about the podcast?
No,
okay, the podcast, netsnewsnetwork.net. That was the hardest thing to do, was to remember where to put the nets. Netsnewsnetwork.net. And we're about to add another podcast.
Oh, okay.
So we're really excited about that. Show is growing. Patricia Hopper, she's with GAP. That's the Guardianship program. Such an awesome, awesome thing you do for this community.
Yes.
And thank you so much for that. And there's so many different avenues that people just, you're not familiar with, and you need to know about this.
Yes. We serve the elderly and adults with disabilities, offering volunteers to be guardians for them when they have no one else to step in and take care of their well-being. The guardians will make sure they're safe and healthy and living the quality of life they want. This program's been going on since 2009 here in Marshall County. We were the second in the state of Alabama, and I am proud to announce that Morgan County has a program. They're looking for volunteers now, so they're at that stage. And I met with Etowah County, and they're in the baby stage, but they are looking to start them a program too. Okay. So I'm excited about being in on those and helping them to get started, because this is much needed. So much in our communities. Our elderly people, some of them didn't have children, some of them children moved away, and those families don't want to pull up roots and come here, and mom and dad don't want to leave home. Or unfortunately, our drug problems cause children to take advantage of their parents, and someone else has to step in and make sure that they're taken care of and not being abused or neglected. So this program is wonderful for that situation. I have 17 volunteers right now, and I'm so proud of this too, because I've been doing this since 2017, so this is 6 years. This is the first time that I've ever had more volunteer guardians than I have individuals that need a guardian.
That's awesome.
I know. I am so excited about that.
Well, people are seeing what the program is about,
yes.
And it is very needed.
Yes, it's very much needed. A lot of children who were in special ed in school, their parents have aged or got where they can't take care of them any longer, and so they're having to find someone to come in and take care of them, or the parents pass away. And then there's that individual that if they can't make decisions for themselves, then they need someone to step in and help with that. So that's what our program does. We're there when the need comes up. The judge will let us know, or DHR will, if they need a volunteer. And since I have so many waiting, I can ask, do you want to go visit and see if it's a personality match? Because I don't want it to be difficult for the individual or for the volunteer. So I always want them to see if their personalities match and they get along with each
that's
other.
Very smart.
And then if somebody says, yeah, we really hit it off, then I'm like, are you willing to be their guardian? And here's what this will entail. This is their medical issues or whatever. And 9 times out of 10, they're like, yes, we will do it.
You know what this reminds me of? A Seinfeld program. I used to watch every Seinfeld show that came on, and there was one where Elaine, she had to do some service for the community, and it was something kind of like what you guys have at GAP. And so she was dreading it. She said, I don't want to have to go sit and listen to some old person talk and all this kind of stuff, but she loved it. And here's what happened. They matched her personality to the older lady she was sitting with. So the older lady, she comes in, she didn't know what to say to her and all this kind of stuff. And so the older lady kind of detected that. And she looked at Elaine and she said, shall I tell you about the affair I had with Gundy? And it was like one of those really funny shows. It was a good segment.
Yes.
But see, even people are seeing the need for that. I've already told Brad, my son, you need Tricia's number on speed dial in case something happens to me, because I don't want them to have to go through any of this. They've got a life they need to live, and I want them to remember me in another way.
Wow. Yeah. There's a lot of families that there is someone there that could do it, but they're like, I don't want to be that person. If you'll do that and still let me be the child and that be my parent, instead of me becoming the caregiver.
Awesome.
Yeah, and that's that's fine too. We do still have a lot of family members that step up and would say, yes, I want to take care of my parent, but they still come to me for guidance and for training, so that I can show them anything they may not understand about, because lots of times family members end up taking care of the money situation too, or the property. One of my volunteers doesn't do that, so I'm kind of like that central spoke central wheel, and then the spokes that go out from the court and the attorneys and the judges or whatever, so that they just come to me and ask questions, and then I go out and ask these people who know everything, and then come back and give them an answer. And I usually try to share it with all of my volunteers or my family members, because if one had that question, somebody else is going to have it too. So I always try to share whatever information I glean from questions that they have with the others that we have, because it's, we're all in this together, and I want us to all work together. So
Absolutely.
and I still have like 11 volunteer attorneys. That's how we first got started. Was we said, if y'all attorneys will step up and volunteer, as we get community volunteers, we'll move your people over to them. But I still have 11 that say, no, I'm good, just leave me with them. Yeah. So and I appreciate that, because there's some that have a little more difficulty in caring for them, and I don't want to overwhelm a volunteer. So I try to keep their person that's easily taken care of. There's not mental health issues, or there's not family issues where the family's squabbling, and then they're going to bring in my volunteer and get them in the middle of that. So I try to work
Take
closely.
some of that drama out of,
Yes,
the aging years of the parent.
Yes, because that parent feels every bit of that stress. And so I try to make sure that everything's easy for them, and then my guardians can step in and everything's easy for the guardian too, because that just makes it so much better for their last days. And usually I'm the one that gets the adults with disabilities, because that's my field that I've worked in for 40 years now. And so the judge will always say, how do we get them a bed? How do we get them in a group home or whatever? And I'll help them get in a group home. But that's where my heart is with adults with disabilities. And not everybody wants to work with adults with disabilities. They'd rather have elderly. So it kind of works out.
Let's talk about volunteers. And I know you can always use volunteers.
Yes.
So many things can happen. So I'm pretty sure you got a waiting list, or you'd like to have a waiting list of volunteers.
Yes.
Now, some people would say, well, kind of like Elaine was on Seinfeld, I really don't want to work with the elderly. Are there other volunteer situations out there that they could, it's paperwork or anything like that?
Well, there's some things that they could help me with. We have 2 fundraisers every year, and I could always use help with fundraisers.
You know, a personality person for that.
And so I can always use help with that. We do, at Christmas time, we do lights around the fence around at the courthouse.
Yeah, I've been doing that
And we do
time.
ornaments to remember in honor of the family member. And then from Memorial Day to 4th of July, we do a veterans. We put stars up for honor of veterans. So, I'm proud of both of those. I just love doing the one for veterans. But, anytime I can get somebody to help me with that, because once I put a name on that star, then I have to change it for the next year. There's sanding and painting, and then there's hanging and sweating or freezing or whatever.
And Alabama weather, it's all be in one day, right?
Exactly. So I can always use help with that. And then there's some paperwork and some going and speaking. I usually do that a lot. But
how about shopping for folks and things like that? Are
Well,
there volunteer opportunities there?
there are. Right now, we're a United Way partner. So Day of Caring is coming up in Marshall County on September the 12th. And we always do projects. And our project is the Angel Tree. And I ask that our volunteer guardians send me sizes, things they like to wear, and the colors they like, and then somebody will adopt us and buy them their Christmas gifts. Because our guardians would, but that's a lot to ask of them. And so there's a lot of companies that have adopted us. The probate office adopted us, Family Security Credit Union adopted us, some of the other banks, Vantage Bank, well, it's not Vantage now, it's First Southern, they adopted us one year. So it's wonderful that we have a community that backs us up and is so supportive of all of us. I spoke last week at a United Way function, and they had lots of questions. And what it was we were at a facility where one of the individuals where I was guardian of them was there. So I brought them in, and we talked about the situation and how I became the guardian. And so that kind of made it more real to them. So they had lots of questions when they were asking me about how did you do this and how much time does it take. That's always the number one question. How much time does it take? Well, that depends on your person. You may go a month and you call or you visit them once a week or whatever, and then in that next 5th week of the time that you're with them, they get sick. And then you're talking to the doctors, you're talking to the hospital, you're talking to the nursing home staff, you're constantly on the phone with them. They may call you at 2 o'clock in the morning and say she's had a turn for the worse or they've gotten better. And then after that, if everything works out, then you go another month or two and there's no issues and you just do your normal visiting. So it's really kind of hard to say how much time do you spend with them, because it depends on you. And it depends
and how
on
much
them.
time you actually have.
Yes.
Some
Yes.
folks, and I've always heard this, our pastor of the church always says this, when he has a committee, he wants some volunteers to help this committee, he always finds the busiest people in the church. They're the ones who are
Exactly.
they're the ones who are going to do it. The ones who have businesses and what have you. Right
exactly.
there.
Yes.
So, I mean, really, if you have only 1 hour to spend a week, you can do that. Or if you just got all the time in the world.
I have one gentleman, he goes every day to visit his person. That's his life. That's what he does. And I appreciate him for that. I have a couple, there's several couples. My husband, I've got him on it now. But there's a couple that they go once a week to visit their person, and they will take him out to eat. And then if he needs a haircut or if he needs this or that, they'll go get that done. But he knows that they're coming. They'll call like the day before they come. And so he's sitting there waiting on them. And then I have others,
excited.
He's very excited. And then I have others that their person has dementia or Alzheimer's and it's in the latter stages, so they really don't know if someone's there. So they're constantly calling and checking with the nursing home, and they may go visit once a week, once every 2 weeks, just to make sure everything's good and the person is doing well. But it just depends on your time and what the individual needs at that moment. My individuals that live in a group home, I can call them and they'll be busy and hang up on me. So, it just varies.
It does. Something else, I've mentioned this a couple of times when you've been on the show, but if you're new to the community, and I've mentioned this every single time you're on the show, in Albertville, I mean, every time I go through Highway 431, there's a new building being built with a new business. There's always something. You guys are growing like crazy.
I'm telling you, it is.
So that's bringing in more folks into the community. Maybe your spouse, has been transferred for another job, in this area, and that leaves the other spouse without a job, and they got to have something to do. I think this is the perfect opportunity because we all know is who you know. It really is. So you could be right people.
Exactly.
The cream of the crop actually in the community are volunteering here with GAP. So you can meet the right people and maybe find your next career move.
Yes, you definitely could. Even if you're a volunteer and you're going in the nursing home, there may be a job opportunity there.
Yeah.
Or in the group home that you're not aware of that you would be a perfect fit for. So you never know what connection it's going to make, and you never know what's in God's plans, not yours. You can plan all day long and it not work out like you want it to, but it'll be the way He wants it to.
In my life.
Oh yeah, mine
When
too.
I just get out of the way, well, then it all starts happening, falling into
yes,
place. Get myself out of the way.
Yeah, and then you're like, why didn't I just let you do that, Lord?
I'll think about that. Wearing a lot less shoe leather that way.
Yes, exactly.
A lot less anxiety as well.
Exactly.
But there's something about when you're helping and you're volunteering, you're just helping people. You volunteer, whatever it is.
Yes.
It gives you this kind of happiness you can't get anywhere else. You can't get a happy pill for that.
No, you can't. And it just makes you a better person. You learn so much from working with people that are from a different way of life, or the age difference in the way their life was when they were growing up and the way we are now. And learning, I talk to my grandkids and I'm like, we had operator that you said, I need so-and-so on the phone, and you listen to the party line and they're like, huh? On their text, they're like, you're crazy.
You and I get started on this topic every time you're on here, and that's history. So we bought the farm my grandparents lived on, and you could still fill them in here sometimes, especially with the phone. Did you see the phone, the rotary dial phone in there?
No, I didn't.
Okay, it's in Phil's office, and he said, you want to take the phone down? I said, no, I want to leave that phone up. I remember being a kid staying here in the summertime. We grew up in Oxford, Alabama. My grandparents here in Geraldine, and so we would come stay a week or two sometimes, and I remember picking up the phone. My grandmother would say, you want to call your parents? Let them, just talk to them for a few minutes. So we'd pick up the phone. Somebody else would be on it.
What is that?
and then it would be like, I think a lot of gossip tales came out of that.
I know.
People listening to rumors.
A lot of people listening, yes.
but I don't want to talk to my parents, you know. And so I would say, can I call my mom and dad on the phone? They go, oh, yeah, sure, honey. Yeah. You at Scott's and Sybil's? And then you'll just start on a conversation with them. Makes me think of Andy Griffith's shows.
Oh, I know. That's what I was sitting here thinking about.
Yeah, you remember that one?
And Sarah would always
man,
listen.
Yeah, Sarah me. We almost had that here. Almost. And I'm sure it was years and years ago.
Probably was.
But so much history that you can learn. I mean, think about this. What if the grid went down?
I know.
Oh my goodness.
Wait,
I'm not so sure I
there's
know what to do with myself either.
There's generations that wouldn't know what to do.
Well, think about this cell phone right here. It's an alarm clock. It wakes us up in the morning because I kept tearing phones up and clocks up and everything. So this is my alarm clock. This is my kitchen timer. I mean, it's everything. I use it for more than cell phones.
Yes.
And so, I mean, think about a time in the world. Think about these kids. If you'd like to, if you're, say you're a teenager, you think about getting into the nursing industry would be a great thing to volunteer doing that. Oh my goodness, you get a good taste of what it's like. So think about this. You get to sit down, you get to hear history on how things were a long time ago.
Yeah. And maybe learn, as my mother says, the old school way of being compassionate and loving.
How about customer service? Can we let's get find somebody who was in retail and let's find from their perspective what it was back in the day.
Yes.
Customer service is not like it used to be.
No, it's not. But there is so much to be learned from these generations, and the ladies and gentlemen who have dementia or Alzheimer's, and they're living in that time. They can just tell you so much, and. I just sit there spellbound listening to them. If they're telling me about when they were courting their spouse, or when they met their spouse, or their first job they had, or when mama had baby sister and, the doctor came to the house, those kinds of things that don't happen now. It's just so interesting, and to think they survived. And we think we're having a hard time surviving, and we don't even know.
It's not even, No, nowhere near close, but they seemed to be happier back then.
Yes, they did. They were happier. I think there was not so much coming at them from all different directions as far as the input from internet and the social media and all that stuff. I think, neighbors knew neighbors and neighbors helped neighbors, and that's what they're used to. And it's kind of sad that we've gotten away from that.
Well, I feel pretty lucky right here because right across the street from us is Roger and Mary. And so Roger's mother and daddy used to live there.
Oh, okay.
So here I'm remembering Raj. He's a little bit older than me, but I remember Raj from back in the days, And so Raj said, isn't this funny how we're living in mother and daddy's house and you're living in your grandparents' house? And JP, I'm a JP Richie, and Nadine, and I just remember them a million times. They had twins, and the first time I ever saw a double baby carriage, they had twins, and they were coming across the street, coming down here to see us because we were down here. They had 5 kids, and so there they were coming with that double baby carriage with twins in it.
Wow.
And I was just fascinated. I was just like, there's 2 of them.
Yeah.
And I was just a little kid. And I was like, there's 2 of them. They look exactly alike.
That was probably rare back then.
Yeah, it was a rarity. And I sounded like my grandparents, but I remember back in the day where you didn't hear any cars going down this road. This is County Road 23. And you never heard an ambulance ever. Every once in a while, somebody would show out in a watermelon patch, start selling watermelons, and you might hear a police car. You might.
Yeah.
So it's just, times were simpler then. It's just fun to hear this. There's a reason Andy Griffith is still popular.
Exactly.
That show.
No doubt. No doubt. It's a slower, neighborly time that everybody knows what everybody's doing.
The families were closer. I think families just kind of like, that's just Donna being Donna, and they just kind of overlook stuff on each other. And so, and I remember when this happened, so my granddad had a whole bunch of brothers and sisters, and what they would do in the summertime, they would meet at each other's house and fix each other's roof or fix a barn or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, the women and the kids would come too, and the women would cook.
Yeah.
And there'd be a big old spread. I always look forward to those times. There'd be food everywhere. It was like a
those.
church gathering or something.
Yes.
But he had so many brothers and sisters, and it was so much fun.
Yeah.
And did they get along with each other 100%? No. Every once in a while there'd be a little something. Usually had to do with Alabama, Auburn, or something like that,
But
or
they got
Democrat,
over it.
Republican, something like that. But they'd get over it.
Yes, they would. You know, and families aren't that big anymore. And I sit in a restaurant and I look, and the kids have got their laptop like this. I sat in the restaurant the other day, and it was a granddad and a grandma and a daughter, son-in-law, daughter-in-law,
Mhm.
and child. And the granddad, was on the phone most of the time.
Mhm.
His phone would ring and he'd answer it. And I'm thinking, you're sitting at the
What
table
can be that
eating.
important?
Yeah. You're sitting at the table eating with your family.
Uh-huh.
If it's that important, they can leave a message.
Well, I'm sending a message right now, but it's really important, okay? The air's not working good in here, so I'm about to send Phil a message telling him to bring a fan in here. So
Yeah.
I am listening to her. I'm listening to every word she says, and he can't hear me because he's got the
Headset, yeah.
headset in there. So
Yeah.
bring fan.
can
So
see.
it does come in handy. It really does when your husband's got a headset over there. So he's going to be bringing the fan in. But all of this is just so interesting just to hear how things work. I love talking with older folks about gardening.
Mm-hmm.
But there are so many things that, do you know you can make a tea out of grass cuttings?
No.
Oh, honey, it's the best fertilizer ever. Not for you to drink now.
Oh, okay. I was fixing to say,
People spend all this money on fertilizer. You don't have to do that.
grass cuttings.
Grass cuttings. No, when whoever cuts the grass, whether it's you or your hubby, when you cut the grass, it's got to be fresh, okay?
Okay.
This comes from an old friend. And so what you do is you put the grass cuttings in, fill it up about a third of the way in a bucket.
Mm-hmm.
And then you put water in it, let it seep now for just about 2 weeks.
Oh.
And then you'll drain it out. The best oxygen, the best nitrogen, the best whatever you need for anything you're growing in the garden,
So
whatever.
you use the water or you use the grass?
You use the water. You'll drain it out just like you would a tea bag.
Okay.
And then what you'll do is, now you'll put some, like an old towel or an old sheet or something,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll put that in first, then put your grass cuttings, then put the water on
Okay.
top of it. Let it set. Now, not out in the sun, it needs to be in the shade, okay? And it'll seep in 2 weeks. And then you just like a big balloon or something, or a big old tea bag. And then you put some twine or something around it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just hang it up in the barn or wherever you want to and let it continue to drip
In the
out
bucket.
after it's set for 2 weeks.
It probably boils by 2 weeks.
Well, I'm going to tell you, it's real, it turns brown.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it smells terrible, okay?
All
But-
fertilizer
But now I
smells
was going
terrible.
to say, what fertilizer doesn't smell really bad? And you use just a little bit of it, and that's very concentrated. Just one grass cut, just do one big bucket like that. It's going to last you all summer.
Wow.
Even out here with my stuff.
I need
And
to
then
try
you just
that.
put it in a little spray bottle and spritz it, or just put it in a bottle and just put just a little bit of it. And, put
And it's
some
good for
water in it.
anything.
It's good for every single thing. It'll help with bugs. Again, now this is just an old remedy. This is what my granddad used to do too. And I remember him back.
Uh-huh.
I remember him like, what's he doing with that bucket? And it was full of old grass cuttings. The key, she said, is this. You've got to have fresh. I mean, it has to have just been cut to get the best
I
out
could
of
say
it.
that where it's not been rained on or
Yeah.
dried out.
And so you put it in there, and then another thing is to make sure that you try to squeeze after 2 weeks. You can do 1 week, but 2 weeks is better. After it's hanging up like that, then you want to squeeze as much of the excess water out as you possibly can, because there's all that rich stuff coming from out
Yeah.
of there, and it's almost black. It's black gold.
Okay.
That's what
Sounds
that is.
easy. I need
This
to.
came from somebody that grew up in the Depression.
I need to share that with my dad. You had to figure out what to do in the Depression. That's something these younger generations won't have a clue.
Mm-hmm.
How to do
Absolutely. In a way, someone's on the show the other day and asked me about the grid, and they said, what's going to happen, do you think, if something happens to the grid? I think it'd be the best thing that ever happened, as long as it's short term.
Yeah, short term. Yeah. Because I don't want my hospital shutting down.
Well, we'll be forced, though. We'll be forced to speak to each other.
Mm-hmm. Depend on each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's go into a commercial break. Can you believe 30 minutes flew by?
Yeah. That's
Okay, it'll be
fast.
just another minute. We'll be right back. Y'all hang in there, okay?
You have been at this for 12 years. Why are you doing it?
Because God's children are not for sale.
Rated PG-13.
At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. Jeff McCurdy of the McCurdy Law Firm has been a public service of this area for over 10 years. McCurdy, a member of the Henniger City Council, serves as prosecutor for the town of Sylvania and was named public defender for the city of Rainsville. At 17326 Alabama Highway 75 in Henniger to better represent his Jackson and DeKalb County clients. If you need to be represented by a true public servant with proven success, call Jeff at 256-996-8701 or send a private email to mccurdylawfirm@gmail.com. No representation is made that the legal services performed is greater than the legal services performed by other lawyers. Let Rhonda at Rhonda's Elite Tax LLC take the burden off you for all your tax needs. I know because Rhonda has been taking care of my business since 2013. I feel Rhonda works for me because she knows the direct questions to ask to better benefit my unique business in order for me to get back the biggest refund possible. Rhonda is an ongoing student, and she knows tax laws are in a constant change every year. Call 256-281-9903 for an appointment to take the dread out of getting your taxes done. Rhonda is located at 11968 U.S. Highway 431 in Boaz. Again, that number is 256-281-9903. And let Rhonda's Elite Tax LLC champion your personal and business taxes. At Liberty Bank, we're all about community, whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need. Toys at Christmas or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender. The Hatter Cafe and Country Inn is nestled in the northeast corner of Alabama the Beautiful in the delightful town of Mentone. We're located on top of scenic Lookout Mountain near Little River and DeSoto State Park and located only 5 minutes from shopping and restaurants. There is also a nearby community walking path and golf course. We welcome everyone through the doors and we are committed to outstanding service for all guests. At the Hatter Cafe and Country Inn, we invite people from all walks of life to come and get away from it all, enjoy the open spaces, treetop views, fresh, clean air, and experience Southern hospitality at its finest. We look forward to hosting you. To reserve a special event, or if you would love a special getaway at the Country Inn, you can call us at 256-634-2018. Good afternoon. My name is Donna Thiesel, and I'm your host of The Edge on IC Radio. We're back from the commercial break, and I'll tell you what, Gap. Guardianship program. Patricia Hopper is with us right now. You know, it's so amazing, all the different things that can happen for your life. And we were talking about kids, okay? I got the one, okay? But I'm talking back in the days. I remember my grandparents had a lot of brothers and sisters. Well, there was time for each brother and sister to come and help when my great-grandmothers were sick and they needed extra help. But that's back when families actually wanted to help.
Yes.
Back in those days. There's a lot of that lacking right now. Kids have moved off, like my son and daughter-in-law, they're living in North Carolina, close to the Raleigh area, Creedmoor, the mule capital of the world. You hear me talk about that sometimes. And so I don't want them to come all the way down here and help me. So your program is going to be just the right thing for me.
Yes, and that's the thing with a lot of families. Like I said, their children grew up in an era when it was pushing to go to college, get a good education. Jobs weren't available here, so they had to go out of state. Now they've got families. They don't want to pack up and come back here. Mom and dad don't want to leave home. So it leaves this void for someone to take care of them. You know, back when you're talking about grandparents and great-grandparents, family was all here because everybody farmed. And so everybody was here and everybody took care of each other and all the ladies cooked so all the farm hands could eat. And, you know, it was just a more cohesive little community than it is now, where everybody's kind of spread out and gone their separate ways and doing their own thing. So it's a good program for those people who may have family but they're not local. And you can still, if volunteer, you can still communicate with the family and do their wishes, you know, if that's what they want to do. And then there's some family members that like, I don't want to make those decisions, you do it. I want to still be their child and then be my mom and dad. And then there's those family members that are like, I don't want to do anything with them. You know, they're just, they're just not.
Maybe could have been bad will with family members and stuff like that.
Could have been, and they just don't want anything to do with them. And so there's that volunteer that steps up and makes those decisions and makes that person, their last days, feel important and make them feel like they're worthwhile being here on this earth. And that's, to me, that's the most important thing. I think we do a disservice to our elderly people. I don't think we appreciate them the way we should. You know, I think, of course, I'm getting up there where I'm becoming one of the elderly. I was going to say, sister, we're kind of with my grandkids, because they'll come and ask me stuff and they'll say, how'd you know that? And I'm like, well, I'm just old enough to know that now.
This is back when 2 + 2 meant 4.
Exactly.
It's a little different now.
Yeah, it was. But, you know, and I can remember things my grandmother would tell me, and I'm really into, like, not as much as she was, but I've started doing, like, plantings and doing flowers and pots and those kinds of things. I don't have, like, flower beds like she did because her whole yard was a flower bed. But I can remember her telling me stuff, and when I'm doing things, I'm like, oh, that's what Nanny told me when I was...
It comes back,
yes,
doesn't
it does. It comes back. And I have ferns, and I love my ferns, and my husband's always said, why are you watering the fern leaves? And I said, because they're usually in the woods in a moist area, so they're whatever the fronds, is what they're called. Their leaves are moist all the time, so I have to water them so they'll grow. Yes. And he's like, where'd you learn that? I said, I don't know. My grandmother
used to do it.
my grandmother, I don't know. But, you know, and my little granddaughter, I had her potting flowers, and I had her fix a little flower and take it home because it didn't live. But that's okay. She still got to play in the dirt and plant one. You know, and that's things I remember.
There's something about playing in the dirt. It's just a good thing.
It is, and kids don't do that anymore. Nobody gets dirty anymore. My feet were always black.
Yeah, mine too.
No matter how much you scrubbed.
Peeling off.
Yeah. It didn't matter how much you scrubbed, your feet were black.
Maybe that's why we were healthier.
I think so.
I have a friend she's an herbalist, and she lives in Charlotte, North Carolina. And she said, I'll tell you why you're sick all the time. And I said, why? And she said, you never get your feet in the dirt, do you? And I said, well, I used to. And so we're living in town. I was hosting a talk show there as well, a television station up in Charlotte. And she said, you got to get out and get your feet dirty. She said, you know, you came from dust.
Exactly.
And she said, you're going to feel better when you do that. And you know what?
Yeah.
I don't get sick near as much. I've got asthma, but I can't do anything about that.
Yeah, you know, and I think about these parents that try to protect their baby, and I'm thinking, no, I'm going to throw mine out there and let it get everything it can possibly
get it over with.
Yes, and get it immune to whatever, instead of waiting for it to get sick and then, like, oh my gosh, let's put it in this little cocoon. Yeah.
It's best really get it and
It
get it over
is.
with.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
But so many of those home remedies too. Because my grandmother, I mean, all of them used to use herbs and stuff like that, you know. And so my grandmother, did you know peppermint's good for a headache?
yes, and a
Oh,
stomach ache.
Yeah.
hmm Yep.
Can you believe that? I mean, just all the things that we're spending money on drugs for, possibly getting addicted, you know, not wanting to, but you know that can happen.
My daddy is so into whatever minerals you need and what those minerals do for your body, whatever vitamin you need, whatever it does for your body. His doctors, they go, okay. So we go in there with this list. Here's this little list of prescription meds, and here's this list of herbs and minerals and vitamins that he's taking. But he knows, like I said, my legs will not quit cramping. He goes, well, you need magnesium. I'm like, really? He goes, yeah. I said, what can I eat that's got magnesium? He told me. I got it. Good.
We keep spoons of mustard. That helps too.
Yeah, mustard helps too. Pickle juice helps too. You'd think it wouldn't because it's so salty. You'd think it wouldn't.
You think it'd be the wrong thing.
Yeah,
to
that
do.
like it'd be dehydrating you and making it. But no, I drink pickle juice all the time when I start craving.
Yeah, I mean, all these little things you don't have to use drugs for, and you can learn these from these folks. Okay, who lived back in the day. You know, so many herbs, so many like ginger root.
Yep.
Oh my goodness, it's one of the best things for arthritis. So, did you know you can dry ginger root, put it in the food dehydrator, and then put it in, like a coffee grinder or something like that, and make powder out of it?
Oh wow!
Sprinkle it on your toast, your salad, or whatever. It's the best. Makes it just the best flavor.
Wow.
Ginger
Really?
root.
Well, you know, if you go to like one of these Japanese restaurants, their dressing is a ginger dressing, right? Yeah. Okay, they know something we don't know.
Yeah.
You know, if you just look up holistic therapy or holistic remedies or whatever like that, you just come up with all kinds of stuff. I'm telling you, my daddy knows it to a T. He'll tell me you need cinnamon for this or you need this.
I gotta hang with your dad. That sounds like
he
something.
does. He knows all that stuff. He's really researched it where everybody else.
Ginger's also good for your plants. You want to get root rot.
Really?
If you'll just mix just a little bit of it with the dirt down there, and then plant your tomato plant or whatever you're going to plant, put it down there, no root rot.
Ah, okay. How about that?
Now,
See,
the
I
gardening
learned
community
something.
will say that's just, we don't know that really works. And I'm going, okay, believe your way, but it works with me.
Yeah.
That's all I know,
Yeah.
is that it works. And making your own compost.
Mm-hmm.
My granddad always had a compost pile.
Didn't call it that.
They called it something else. You didn't want to be upwind of it. But
Yeah,
it was.
exactly.
So now I've got used grass cuttings and
Mm-hmm.
you know, in your coffee grounds. We can supply the town with coffee and use coffee grounds. We drink so much coffee in this house. And eggshells, just everything. You know, there's no grease, nothing like that in it. But everybody can have their own compost pile.
Yep.
And guess what? You're not having to pay so much money for the good compost. It turns into the best black dirt you
Yep.
have ever seen in your life. And these are all things they did. You know, people wondering, well, they couldn't go. They didn't have a Lowe's back in those days. No, they didn't have a
No.
Lowe's back then. They made their own compost.
And they saved their seeds, and they cross-pollinated with their seeds or whatever they needed to do to make their own.
I've got my
plant.
granddad's seeds in the freezer right now, and I'm still using them. He always said, keep them in the freezer now. Keep them in paper bags, though. Don't put them in plastic. You keep them in paper bags.
Never heard that.
And he passed away in the year 2000.
Wow.
And these are probably seeds that he had in the 1980s or
Yeah.
something.
My grandmother had, and I don't know where they are. I wish, and I may have some somewhere, but I've moved and I don't know where they are. She had khaki cotton seeds,
Oh,
or khaki colored cotton. It was beautiful.
oh my goodness.
Mhm.
Wouldn't that be pretty in decorations?
Yes, yeah, it would be. You're talking about coffee grounds. I know y'all really want to hear about all this stuff.
No, they do.
But-
They love all this stuff.
But I have taken coffee grounds with some olive oil, put it in a little jar, and used it as a
Exfoliator.
exfoliator.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's really good.
Olive oil's good for your skin,
Yep,
too.
instead of paying all that money. Yeah.
Yeah, why'd you do that?
Mhm.
I could see using that also for a good foot rub since
Yep.
I'm barefoot
Mhm.
outside all the
Yep.
time.
Mhm.
My feet are dirty.
That would be perfect. Of course, they might be, coffee grounds may make them brown too, but I don't know. But it's really, I've used it. It's really good. Now you have to be careful if you're standing in the shower because that olive oil's gonna get slick.
Make sure you got the
But
powder.
it's really good, and your skin just feels so good
Uh-huh.
after it's over. Yeah, I love it.
Oh, yeah. My grandmother had the most beautiful face, and she used eggs.
Ooh, I don't know if I could do that.
Oh, yeah. What she'd do is get the egg white,
Whites. Mhm.
and then she would, fluff it up and make
Mhm.
meringue out of
Uh-huh.
it. Wash your skin, put the egg whites right here, and it tightens your skin.
Ooh.
naturally.
Yeah, but I don't know if I can do that.
Oh, well, it feels so good.
You've done it?
I do it.
Oh,
And it
that's
will,
why you have no wrinkles.
will tighten your skin. I mean, it really does.
Wow. I don't know. I don't know if I'll try that or
Yeah,
not.
try that. It's worth it. Beats going getting. I have a friend who actually had a facelift done, and I'll swear I'll never do it just from what she had to go through with, and it was terrible. So I said, you know what? I'm never going to get a facelift. I said,
Give
I think
me
I'll
egg
just
whites.
give me egg whites. And it doesn't smell. It doesn't have a weird smell to it or anything like that.
I guess because it's the whites. I think
Yeah,
it's the yolk.
the white.
that
I wouldn't
smells.
want the yolk. The yolk
Uh-uh.
would stink.
Yeah.
But the egg white is just fluffy. Put whipped cream on your face. Basically, is what it feels like.
Okay.
Try that.
I don't know.
And pepper, I mean, salt and pepper, all the things you can do with salt and pepper. All this stuff with remedies. My grandmother was a skincare fanatic.
Really?
And I'm going to tell you what, she used the cheapest face creams and stuff like that. Vitamoist from Avon.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the other one? It was in a little greenish, bluish jar. So there was two of them. And the Vitamoist was in the yellow jar. Remember, she kept those up there on her
They
counter.
probably didn't smell good either.
Not really.
Mm-mm.
But I'm saying she had good skin.
Yep.
So, and people would say, well, Sybil, what are you using on your skin? She'd say, that cheap stuff from Avon. That's all she used.
Wow.
It was like $1 a thing, $1 a
Mhm.
jar back in the day.
I've heard people putting Vaseline. I can't do Vaseline. It's too thick.
Yeah, it's too,
Yeah.
my pores get
Well,
too
I
big.
just feel like this just smothers me because it's so thick. But yeah,
But there's like
we
Vicks,
digress.
Vicks Vapor Rub. Is good.
Mm-hmm. No, I don't mind it.
Mhm.
I like the smell of Vicks Vapor Rub. I know I'm crazy, but I
Yeah,
like
you're
the smell of
crazy.
it. Just like the smell.
So good for you. All these things that we're talking about. But all of these things are things you can learn
Yes.
and let your kids learn, because everybody's worried about the supply chain right
Yes.
now. What's going to happen if something else happens, another COVID happens?
Yes.
There are things we need to know how to
That
do.
should have been our awakening.
Yeah.
It really should
Well, it was
have.
mine.
I don't know that the younger generations, they figured that out. But
Uh-huh.
this is our awakening because we're not going to function.
It's almost like it's a way of life.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like that way of life.
Mm-mm. No.
I'm not into that. And let me tell you, you're going to laugh about this. There's a plant, it's called elephant ears. No. It's sheep ears, I think is what it's
Never
called.
heard sheep ears.
Sheep ears. So taking the class, I got to meet, through Auburn Extension, I got to meet a lot of awesome people who live off the land.
Oh, wow.
So we've got to go visit farmers and things
Like off the grid.
that. Off the grid people. These are the smartest humans on earth.
Yeah, they are.
I mean, they
really
really
are.
they know how to survive.
Mhm.
So I met this lady, and she said, "You ever see that? No, it's lamb's ear." She said, "See that lamb's ear over there?" And I mean, it looks like a lamb's ear, and it feels so cushy, and it feels something, it's just so
It's kind of
soft.
like fuzzy.
Kind of like it feels like those baby blankets that you can get that I could just like. go to
Like,
sleep.
yes. Uh-huh.
I'm just dead asleep when I
Mhm,
touch some of
yeah.
these baby blankets. It's like that, but it's kind of thick. It's about an inch thick, kind of like
That's
that. That's the leaves of it. She said, "You know what you can use that for, honey?" She thinks I'm a city slicker and I live on a farm just because I was the talk show.
We'll tell this city slicker.
All right, I'm telling you. She said, "Honey, you remember that toilet paper shortage that we had?" She said, "That's nature's toilet paper. I can see
Ah.
it. It's called lamb's ear.
I can
Get
tell.
lamb's ear. I'm going to get some of it. And I'm going to plant it just in case this happens again." She said, "Honey, that's nature's toilet paper." She said, "Touch that." And
I
I
don't
touched it,
remember
and it
that.
felt like a little baby.
I
bump.
remember the Seals Roebuck catalog.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that is.
What's that? That's what women used to do back in the day, by the way. Instead of throwing hints at their husband, the husband couldn't take a hint. They would go through the Sears catalog and turn down pages and hope he'd see it.
Yep.
This would be a nice Christmas present
Before
right
it got
here.
out to the outhouse to be used as
Yeah.
toilet.
Absolutely do that. I'd better check and see what time. Oh, look, we're still doing good. We've got about 9 minutes left on this
Okay.
segment. So we're talking about what you can do. So what is the process if I want to volunteer?
If you want to volunteer, you can contact me at 256-388-9851. I always get the phone number backed up. Or you can email me at galmarshallco@outlook.com, and I can get you the information you need. We do an application, we do a reference check, and we do a background check. And now in the
I'm
state
so
of-
glad to hear you do that, because I
Yes.
think that would be the number one fear if you wanted somebody to look out after your parents, and you live in another state,
Yes.
you want to know a background check
Yes.
is done.
And now in the state of Alabama, the legislature passed, usually you could get checked for child abuse through the DHR. And now you can check for adult abuse through DHR. So it's adult registry. So we're also doing that
Good.
to make sure that they're not have any
Because some people
serious
can be kind
crimes.
of cunning and look like they'd be the
Yes,
sweetest
they
people on
could.
earth.
Yes, exactly. So we do that, and then
Wow.
once that's done, I check references. Once that's done, I call you in, and we do a training. Some people like to come to the training first to kind of see what it is, and then say, okay, I'll take an application, or this isn't really what I need, and that's fine too. I don't mind doing that, and then you
Just
make
want
up
everybody
your
to
mind.
be happy and
Yeah.
enjoy what they do.
Yeah, it's not a problem. It's like an hour and a half. It's depending on how many questions.
I need to go
Mm-hmm.
to
You
this.
do. You need to come to the training. It's not that detailed. I mean, it is, but it's not like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to do that. You are. It's not that hard. But
Well, knowing the laws
Mhm.
and what you can do and what you can't
Yeah.
do.
and even knowing what your piece of paper is going to look like when you become guardian, because they're going to hand you 3 or 4, and you don't need all of that. You just need this one. It's got the judge's signature and the seal on it. And a lot of people will take this other, and they lose this one that's got the seal. So, just showing you what that piece of paper is supposed to look like, so you know what you're supposed to show everyone. We just go through what your responsibilities are. If you're going to be one of my volunteers, then, like I said, we're a United Way partner. So I have to report to them every quarter on how our time or our monies are being used to help the elderly or the adults with disabilities. And so that's where my volunteers will report to me how many visits they've made, how many phone calls they've made, if their individual's doing well, if they need to be moved, like they've got them on a waiting list to go somewhere else to another nursing home. It's just different things if they're not comfortable there. And then I report that into United Way. And then after that, we've got, if you can't do it anymore, that's another thing. People go, well, what if something happens and I can't do it? Because it is a legal binding document, but, I always add that but, because that legal scares everybody.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't do it any longer, and that's fine, I've got somebody else. I can just go to the judge with my little piece of paper that says,
Because life happens.
yeah,
and-
Sally can't do it any longer, but Susie said she would step up and be that person she's visited. They've got a good rapport, and the judge will sign off on it. Gap pays her $46, and we walk out the door. We've got a new guardian. So it's not that you can't walk away from it. You can if there's something comes up. I had one lady, she was already taking care of her mother and had 2 people that she was volunteer guardian for, and then her husband fell sick. And she was crying when she came to me. She said, I hate to do this.
Well, she had to.
Yeah, and I said,
And you
it's
guys
okay.
were understanding about that.
Yes, I said, it's perfectly all right. I have a lady I just trained, and she's willing to go. That was the nursing home she really wanted people in because it was close to her house. It's not going to be an issue. Let me let her visit, make sure they get along, and then we'll go from there. It worked out, did the paperwork, everything was done. Of course, some of our individuals pass away. I had one pass away this year. And then sometimes they don't need a guardian anymore. I had a 22-year-old gentleman who I worked with him from a group home into assisted apartment into his own apartment. I helped him with his monies. I got things put up on draft. I let him go online and look at his monies and see where it was going. He fell in love, was going to get married, and I'm like, I don't think that wife's going to want me telling you where to live, how to spend your money. Yeah, really. So I said, I'm going to give you your debit card, and I'm going to let you handle everything. And then if you can do this and you don't need me, then we're going to go to the judge. And we went back to the judge, and he got me released as his guardian. He takes care of himself. And everybody in the courtroom was crying, even the judge. She said, I've worked in this probate office for 20-something years and never have seen someone not need their guardian any longer because they could do it themselves.
So
She said, this is just amazing. And I still check on him. He's still doing well because I said, I'm a phone call away, but I'll call him. He don't call me. He's 20-something. He'll call me. But I will call him and check on him. He goes, I'm doing good. I said, you tell me if you weren't. Yes, ma'am, I would. I'd tell you if I weren't. So I'm proud of him for doing that. And
Well, I'm proud of you.
Yeah,
I mean,
well-
you've been an angel to that guy.
well, I mean, he really had it. He really did have it where he could do it.
Just a little lack of confidence.
Yeah,
maybe.
it was. It was a lack of confidence, and just gradually giving him that little push to make him be more confident in himself and more responsible for things, he had it there. It was just getting somebody to push him into that little area where he could do it himself. But there's
Well, there's several legal team, I would say, of folks who help you guys out. That's one concern when you're helping with something like that, is to know the legal ramifications.
Yes.
And so you got a great team of folks. Who
I
help.
do. My board of directors, I have attorneys, I have DHR workers for adults, I have the probate office, I have the chief clerk there, I have one of our circuit court assistants who knows that law, and then I have a financial advisor on the
That's
board.
fantastic.
So I have all areas. We have everything covered. Like I said, if I don't know the answer, then I'm going to go across the street to the courthouse and ask them, or I'm going to pick up the phone and call DHR or my attorney or my financial advisor. If it's a family member that's having to deal with money stuff, I'm going to find you the answer. And that way you don't have to make 20 different phone calls. You make your phone call to me, I make the 20 phone calls and find the answer. And then again, I share it with everybody, because somewhere down the
Another
road,
lesson.
somebody's going to have that answered for them. And if I put it out there for everybody, then we're all on the same page. So to me, it's like I don't see my guardians that often, my volunteers, but it's almost like we're this little cohesive little family, because if I need something, all I got to do is text or call, and they're there. Like we had our fundraiser, and they were all chipping in and helping with that, donating, and they're already giving to these individuals, but they were right there for me. They helped me in every way they could, and so they depend on me, and I kind of depend on them. I mean, if I didn't have them, I couldn't be doing this.
Well, let me ask you this. Are there certain areas or things people could donate to you guys that would make life a little easier?
We could always use toiletries for the individuals. If they're in the nursing home, my mom goes to the beauty shop every week. When she went for rehab,
That's from that generation.
Yes,
you go no matter what.
you go no matter
My
what.
grandmother always went.
Every
same
Friday,
person,
same
same
person.
hairstyle
forever. Yes. So if you want to donate, I think it's like $8 or $10 at the nursing home to go to get your hair cut or your hair styled or whatever. If you want to donate some money towards that for one of our individuals to go and get their hair done once a month or once a week or whatever.
Or what if you're a beautician, you just want to get the word out that you're a beautician?
That would be great too,
That would be
because
good, because then you got family members who are going to say you did good on Mother's hair.
Yeah, that would be great too. Just anything, any service that you could do, even just going and visiting, and there's a lot of people in the nursing homes. This has nothing to do with GAP, but this really bothers me. There's a lot in those nursing homes that have nobody that ever comes to see them. They're just there, and even if you don't want to be a volunteer guardian, you could still go visit. You could sit there and talk with them. I also work with the group homes, and we're supposed to have these individuals out in the community volunteering, and I'm trying to work with the nursing homes to see if we can do that, if we can go in and visit with people who doesn't have anybody and just be their friend, and maybe take them some toiletries or some good smelling lotion, or one of the gentlemen some fuzzy socks or something, just to make them feel special. And that's just an area that to me is lacking, is there's people there that have nobody. I will have nobody. So come bring stuff.
You and I'll be in the room together. You remember when we had that show?
That's right. I think we need to do that
We
show
did.
again.
Okay, this is the end of the show, but I really want you to mention this. So we're talking with people all over the United States right now, maybe in another country, and you're unsure, is there something like that in my community? Maybe you live in Montana, and you would just love to know if there's something like that available. How could you find out if someone like GAP is available anywhere else in the United States?
When I got this job, I started Googling. And Kansas has a statewide program like this. I don't remember if Montana or anywhere like that did, but just look at just look up your state and guardianship, adult guardianship, because it'll pull up children too, minors. But do your state and adult guardianship and see if it's there. We have a lady in Montgomery at DHR in Montgomery who's really wanting this statewide. And I'm, like I said, I'm really excited that we've got Morgan County, and now we've got Etowah County that's working on. I'd love to get with DeKalb County too and see if we could start something here.
There needs to be.
Yeah, really, and just spread it out. Even Blunt, everywhere around me, just try to spread it out. And it's not easy to get it started, but we've already done all the hard stuff. I can give you our bylaws, our incorporation, all that kind of stuff, so you can just kind of
You can get the Reader's Digest version.
Yeah, so you can just fix it for you, and you don't have to invent the wheel. So those kinds of things I can help with, and then I can help you on how to get started with volunteers and those kinds of things. So if there's any around that would like that information, you just holler at me at galpmarshallco.com. That's our website. You can email me at galpmarshallco@outlook.com, or you can call 256-388-9851. I'll talk to you all day long if you want me to about Galp.
Full of information. Great information. Tricia, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you.
It's
I've
always
enjoyed
so
it.
much fun. I always love seeing her. And I love seeing you too. Thank you so much for watching. You have a great day.
You have been at this for 12 years. Why are you doing it?
Because God's children are not for sale.
Rated PG-13.
Wow, it's so soft and smooth.
It's cool to the touch. How did you do that?
Well, we took MyPillow's patented fill and combined it with this new technology that we didn't have back then when I invented MyPillow to bring you the best pillow in history, MyPillow 2.0. Because of all of you, MyPillow 2.0 has been a huge success, and now we're bringing you our best-selling Go Anywhere MyPillows with the same temperature-regulating technology. Made with my patented adjustable fill and brand new cooling fabric, they're truly the next generation of MyPillow. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save over 60% on our MyPillow 2.0 4-pack special. You'll get 2 MyPillows and 2 Go Anywhere MyPillows. Regular $259.92, now only $99.98. King size just $10 more. This is a limited time offer, so please order now.
The only place I buy my beef is Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama. Their cattle is born and raised on their ranch, grass and grain fed, and you can feel confident when you serve your family and friends because their beef is all natural and no antibiotics or hormones are added. You can buy whole beef or perhaps go in with family or friends and buy half. Their customer service is number one as they take care of the delivery to their local processor and can deliver to your home for a small added fee. They also offer herd replacement heifers. I always call Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama for my beef specialty recipes and cookouts, and you can too. Food shortages are increasing, so buy local by calling 256-523-6462. That's 256-523-6462. Donna's Designs offers a line of handmade memorial, wedding, and keepsake jewelry that launched back in 1970. I'm a self-trained jewelry designer, and I will work closely with you to create unique designs you can love and treasure for years to come. Whether that be flowers that were used in a funeral arrangement or stones you found on the beach at a memorable trip, call me at 256-659-4319, and let's think of the possibilities.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer.
Yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.
At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant.